Here we are, part 3 of our mini series on detailing bikes. We've been working on these all week long. These are the bikes we picked up last weekend that I showed you videos, and this original paint, low miles 554, is really shaping up. This is a barn find that had been sitting for a while, and well, more of a garage find because it was kept indoors, but it's cleaning up super nice. As we had stated before, that we went through the process of giving it a nice traditional soap and water wash down, and then the areas that were caked with debris or any of the chrome areas went through the power washing with the bicarbonate sodium baking soda process that really cleans it up nice. And then everything, all the aluminum was polished with starting with Colonel Brassy and quadruple zero steel wool. The whole motor was cleaned up nicely. All the chrome went through the Colonel Brassy and quadruple zero steel wool cleanup. The rear fender, all the chrome, the shocks. What else, guys? Where do we leave off? Tell us about the paint.
So right now we're painting the frame, just touching up the areas that have been rusted. First off, I already did this, but I sanded down the rust areas with 320 grit sandpaper.
Shout out to Musty, Darren. You had requested that we show this process, so I left the spot undone, and I don't want to have a 2-hour video of showing him doing it because it takes a while, but he had hand sanded the whole frame with 320 and then touched it up, and he pours a little bit of paint into this little cap here, so you're not dealing with a quart, you're dealing with a small bit of paint and a foam brush. But this is a process. There's a portion that has been done. This is the original patina, the original gloss, and I know, Darren, I know you like the rust on your cool custom creations, but on these classic Hondas, guys want to see the frame black usually. So for this particular bike, go ahead, show us what you're doing.
See, for like corners and areas that are hard to get into, usually I'll use a fine bristled paintbrush, and I'll just try to cover up most of the areas that don't have paint on them anymore. And pretty much it's just to also to prevent further rust from happening in the future.
Guys, this is the end of the day. This is my cell phone, unfortunately, and the battery might die. Yesterday, we were finishing off on our OSHA cabot, going over all the specs on our SDS manual. So we have chemical write-ups on all the chemicals in there, and it died. But and I'm at about 8% of my battery, so if it dies, well, we'll start tomorrow. Actually, we're down to 5%. Go ahead, Kyle.
Oh, boy. And then for the larger areas, we'll take the foam brush and just do a nice even stroke, just to try to make it look as original as possible, because that's the main goal with this, with restoring a bike. You want it to look as original as possible and to not see any seams or any strokes from the brush.
And doing a frame off on a bike like this, we can do it, but you're looking at 4,000 plus 60 hours labor to strip it down to the frame and send the frame out for professional sandblast and powder coat or paint. And quite often, that's not really necessary. In this case, we don't think it is. And we can keep the cost down by doing it this way. We can still sell this bike at a very low reserve and still make a little bit of money, because these guys don't work for free, do you guys?
No, sir.
So I got to pay these guys on Friday. So we try to value engineer everything we're doing and turn out a bike that has been, I call this more of a preservation service, where you're, any areas that had a little bit of rust like that in the frame are now coated with a rust preventative paint, so they're not going to decay anymore or cause any pitting. This side of the frame's been done. As you can see, the original paint pops on top of the blacked out frame, and all the aluminum's cleaned up. The bike's spotless now. They've been working on this thing on and off all week. It's Friday afternoon now, so a lot has been done. What did I leave off on? Actually, before I go any farther on this one, I want to show you this little 350 that Aiden, this has been your project, right?
Yes, sir.
You've done everything we talked about on that one pretty much, right?
Yep.
This has come a long ways. This was had a lot of surface rust on it and on the chrome, and it's amazing how the Japanese chrome cleans up. Look at the part 1 video and look at this components here. They had a little bit of surface rust. It's all gone, cleaned up beautifully by the processes we talked about in part 1 and part 2. Aiden, nice job on this, man. I know you got a lot of hours in this thing, don't you, bud?
Yes, I do. It's took me a little while, that's for sure.
It's looking good. And it's got to feel good at the end of the day when you walk away and you're like, wow, I made this thing beautiful, And then someone else can be someone else's pride and joy. This one here, I think, was the worst of the 4 of them. And this only had part 1 and part 2. We didn't get to the final stages on this, but you can see the chrome really cleaned up nicely. The Japanese chrome from this era you know, can take a beating and still come out nice. This is a original 1,725 miles on this bike. It's a 450 double overhead cam. This could be you know, a 100-point bike if you took the time and went through the whole thing and painted, polished, plated, and rebuilt the whole thing. This is a stunning machine. This is the one, Doc, you spent quite a bit of time on this one, I know. This was donated to the museum by one of our benefactors. She's an attorney, and her dad passed away, and she gifted it to us to display it or to sell to raise money for the museum. So stunning original Aspencade trike that I know Doc put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into. But he's pointing at this one over here. He's particularly proud of this one, and this is a Yamaha 650 Special. This one got Doc's our senior detail tech here, and we call him the Doc 'cause he has a PhD in detailing, so he's taught us all a little bit about this. And perseverance is one thing. He never gives up until they're gorgeous. And this is an original paint 650. Doc, tell us a little bit about this one.
Yeah, the bike was in fairly nice shape to begin with, but it still was probably about 50-50. It's totally original from head to toe. Just keeping all the original parts on it and giving them a complete cleaning and detailing. And this is the final product of that.
It's just stunning, Doc. This is a beautiful. We've sold a few of these overseas. I had a couple from Scotland come over that bought one of these. It auctioned off. It sold for a lot of money. Sold for over $5,000. It was an original 650 like this. That was beautiful, a black one. And they rode it to Canada to watch an F1 race, and then back down to New York, and then shipped it overseas. So back to this one right here. So Kyle is in the process of doing the foam painting. You see the section that he blended here. He started right about here and worked his way down, and that came out great. So it looks awesome. Kyle, what else would you like to talk about with this bike? I know you got to put the seat. You have, this is not the original seat. You have an original seat.
Yes, we
with
do.
an original brown factory replica of the original one seat cover. That's going to go on there. And I think you mentioned that this is just a sticker on the tank that you might be removing.
Yes, I believe this is just, yeah, it's just a sticker that's on the tank.
Somebody put a sticker of a little splash mark, a blue one that we're going to take off there. It's hiding a little blemish underneath it, I believe.
Yep.
That will look better without it. So is there anything else you'd like to add about this one, the part 3 process of this one?
I mean, pretty much it's mainly part 3 is just really making sure there's no rust on the chrome. Make sure you get the pitting out as much as you can. A lot of detail to the engine, because I mean, when you're power washing, you don't always get everything that you see or that you can't see. So when you detail it, you can really make sure you get everything off the engine that shouldn't be on there. And that's pretty much it. And then also a lot of focus on the tank.
Yeah, so we've been focusing mainly on this bike, but this week these 4 guys have been working on this one. Doc's been working on the 650. Doc completed with Eric's help, I believe, this 1983 Aspencade trike. And then we haven't really done too much on this one other than the initial washing and soda blasting, right?
Yeah.
So,
Also, you want to show this red Honda.
oh yeah, this one here. Look in part 1 and part 2, and you'll see how rusty the pipes were on this thing. This has been through the first phase where it's been thoroughly washed, power washed, and soda blasted on all the aluminum and chrome surfaces. The frame's gonna need to be painted. When are you guys starting on this one?
Hopefully Monday.
Hopefully Monday. Okay, yeah. So this one will be up next, and stay tuned on this one. You're going to see a lot of improvements on this one. Also, the frame will be painted and all the chrome, and the center stand, the chain guide needs to be repainted. That'll all be repainted. We'll probably remove the rack off the back. The original side covers are stunning on this thing. So unfortunately, the tank's not as good, but we're going to probably end up doing some wet sanding on this tank and buffing, and maybe a re-clear coat. I'm not sure, but we're going to try to preserve the original paint, even though there is a fair amount of patina on it. But and then we got this RD 400 that's coming up next, folks. So
That one runs amazing.
battery just died, so it's perfect timing, I guess. All right, that's cool. So everybody.